biggest revolution in broadcasting. Interactive television.
Merged cable of wireless communications is raising the profile of
The flow of information has never been greater than it is today, and the choice of how to receive it never wider. But one of the most enduring, most reliable, most effective, and most popular is the newspaper. Westferry Printers is one of the biggest printers of newspapers in Europe. It is at the technological forefront of mass printing and committed to printing newspapers to the highest quality. In a typical night, around 2.5 million newspapers are printed and distributed. There are 18 presses, each capable of printing up to 70,000 copies an hour in high-definition colour, as well as precision black and white. 6 national daily titles, 4 Sunday titles, 40 local titles, 12 other publications. The British are amongst the most avid of newspaper readers. Westferry Printers came to the Isle of Dogs, the heartland of London's Docklands, during a period of huge sociological and technological change, not only in the printing industry, but in the fortunes of London itself. Fleet Street had been the traditional home of the newspaper industry since William Caxton first developed mass printing in the Middle Ages. But by the mid-1980s, the street was a spent force. Outdated methods, insufficient space, unreliable presses, dirty premises, and restrictive practices were destroying the industry. Survival meant fundamental change.
Please move! You're causing an obstruction!
But change is often a bitter pill. The Times was the first title to move out of Fleet Street, build a modern printing plant, and take on the unions in a struggle to the end. The strike lasted 14 months and failed, but it saved the industry. Another industry facing similar circumstances did not survive. London was once the busiest port in the world. In wartime, the dock communities proved their resilience.
Britain's ordeal by fire reaches new heights of horror. With the enemy supreme in the air, London is a nightly inferno.
But faltered when faced with technological progress. They put up a fight.
Our question is to wait now for common sense to take place in the corridors of power to get negotiations up for resumption of work based upon the men's demand.
But to no effect. Business moved away, leaving vast tracts of London empty and derelict. But beneath the rubble lay an opportunity. The transformation of London's docks into a modern, vibrant part of the city is internationally renowned, and Westferry Printers was among the first to meet the challenge. Westferry Printers was created by a joint venture between the Daily Telegraph and Express newspapers, conceived to become a newspaper printing specialist. This merger of rivals broke the one remaining taboo in printing. Regardless of scoops, rival titles could be printed alongside each other. Cost savings and high print quality attracted other titles, and in 1995, the Financial Times closed down its own print facility and moved to Westferry. Docklands was rapidly becoming the new Fleet Street. Then, terrorism shattered the peace. It was just after 7 p.m. on the 9th of February 1996 when the blast from a 1-ton bomb killed 2 Docklanders and damaged many buildings. The Guardian building was rendered unsafe. The Guardian printers telephoned Westferry for assistance, and the edition went out. With the Guardian came the Observer, proving once and for all that the Westferry experiment was a total success, and the future of newspaper printing was secure. Today, Westferry Printers continues to expand and develop. There are over 750 employees, and it has increased productivity from 7,000 copies per employee to 37,000. It prints more national titles than any other printer. Prints 2.5 million newspapers a night. $112 million a month, making a total of around $1,272 million a year. And has won many awards. But to print in such volumes requires precise professionalism. Time is short. After all, the life of a newspaper is less than 24 hours. It begins in the editorial department of a newspaper. Here, journalists file their copy, advertisers' space is laid out, and each page composed. Up to the mid-1980s, this used to be done with paper and glue. Now, once the editor is happy, the page is faxed to Westferry. Any spots can be filled or removed, making sure the negative is pristine. High-quality print in today's newspapers is vital. Advertisers as well as readers insist on it. The photographic process ensures fine detail. The negative is transferred onto a light-sensitive aluminium plate. As many as 1,500 plates are used on an edition such as the Daily Telegraph. Plates are attached to cylinders. When the ink flows, the image is offset to another cylinder that prints onto the web or paper. Another set of cylinders complete the unit so that the paper is printed on both sides at the same time. How the plates are arranged is planned in the control room. The production controller decides how the web is threaded through the press depending on the number of pages in the edition. A typical press has 6 units. This one includes 3 colour units and 1 tower unit. Most colour units print colour on one side only, but the tower unit prints colour on both sides, known as colour backing colour. Below the units is the paper supply. Individual units may print 8 pages of a broadsheet. So for instance, pages 7 and 8, 22 and 21 of the main paper, and the same from the backset section are printed from one unit. Other units are similarly arranged for a newspaper edition of 28 pages per section. The paper, in 7 webs, is threaded through making contact with colour and black cylinders. They converge in the right order and in register, ready to be cut and folded. With everything in place, the ink begins to flow and the print run begins, slowly at first. Each technician makes sure his part in the process is working properly. The press controller monitors the ink densities, clarity and registration. He fine-tunes the press, and only when completely satisfied gives the order for full speed. Making sure the presses always have paper is the responsibility of a troop of robots. Each roll is nearly 8 miles long and feeds a press for 20 minutes. 320,000 tons, half of which is recycled, are used each year. Trees are farmed in Scandinavia and Canada solely for the newspaper industry, and for every tree cut, 4 are planted. Most newspapers today have several other items inserted into them. Westferry is equipped to handle these in all shapes and sizes. There may be as many as 5 inserts per copy. In the publishing hall, the papers are bundled for dispatch. From here, Westferry feeds the southern half of the country, much of it with its own liveried trucks. From the big cities to the villages and hamlets, the population waits for its morning papers. It's just 12 hours since this story left the journalist's notepad. The British truly are the most avid readers of newspapers. But Westferry Printers is not only a leader in mass newspaper printing, it is a leader in its local community. When the company first came to the Isle of Dogs, it was a wasteland. There were no residents nearby, and local people welcomed the job opportunities. Now it is a thriving residential area with a diverse community and a range of related environmental issues. Westferry also helps the community, for example, with the local police, promoting youth sporting events, and by sponsoring instructors to teach the basics of seamanship. But uniquely, it runs the Newspaper Education Trust, where 2,400 school children a year learn the essentials of newspaper publishing. Printing the news as they see it.
You've done your master, you've done your master. It's all there, it's all safe. Remember, it's safe, it's safe.
Training is important at all levels. Ever since apprenticeships ceased, there has been little opportunity for young people to learn a trade from within a trade. Here, traineeship programs, recognised at NVQ standard, have been developed and ensure qualified technicians for the future. And it is looking to the future and the search for new techniques that keeps Westferry Printers at the leading edge of innovation and technology. Improving print quality is a constant at the Westferry Printers laboratory, especially colour quality, to meet the demands of its customers and to stay at the forefront of market demands. Newspapers are an essential part of everyday life. The future of Westferry is the future of the newspaper industry. Westferry is a successful business, providing many jobs, environmentally aware and with a concern for the local community. Yet Westferry will continue to push the boundaries and set new standards for printing. Westferry Printers will lead the way to provide all its customers, large and small, with a printing guarantee of quality for its readers and advertisers in the next century.